Hello, my name is Paula Arleti. Welcome back. On my previous video, I showed you how to coordinate patterns. And on this one, you'll learn not only how to choose the right fabrics for the different uses you have for them in your home, but also mix and match them with other finishes such as wallpaper, wood samples, or maybe that wall color you really don't want to change. Taking cue from coordinating patterns, you can translate the same tips for mix and matching your finishes in your home. I like to always start with color palette because I find that's the best way to convey a different mood or convey the type of style you might want to go for in your home. In my case, I'm going to be working with some blue tones and some creams and some taupes. And I find this color palette is very classic, very timeless, which is really what you should be considering when choosing your color palette. This color palette should translate to all seasons, and you shouldn't feel the need to switch it so often, okay? The next thing you should consider is the style of the room. Is the room a little bit more contemporary? Is it bohemian? Is it formal? Is it casual? You should also consider the style of the room, the way you plan to entertain. Is it formally? Is it casually? The space plan, the function of the space, the intended atmosphere through to the architectural finishes have to be considered when choosing your fabrics and finishes scheme. First, start with your color palette. I really like to start with a fabric that I love the most. For example, in this case, I went with this beautiful soft teal and taupe fabric, mainly because it's made from silk and I absolutely love anything made from silk, but also it just has a really nice texture to it that I think will yield perfectly for the type of look I'm going for, which is a sort of romantic but not too girly color scheme. So instead of the usual pink, I went ahead and chose a teal, or you could also say this is mint colored, but I really like that I'm able to pull a few colors from here and build my color palette from there. For example, this teal, I introduced it through this fabric as well, just absolutely beautiful. It's also made from silk, and these fabrics that are a little bit more delicate, you should mainly consider them for throw pillows or just small little soft furnishings because they can be a little bit expensive. But if you were to choose a more robust fabric like this one with a martinate unit of 30,000, for example, it's perfect for upholstery. It withstands to abrasion pretty well. I also love this one for upholstery, and if you notice, this is a gray fabric, but it has sort of a bluish kind of minty undertone to it. So whenever you're choosing your solid colors for your main pieces of furniture, make sure that the neutral that you choose may offer the undertone of your main fabric or your main accent fabric, that is. This one, as you can see, it has a very small tint of blue. It's almost not even noticeable, but when you coordinate it with this one, you can tell that they go perfectly together, as opposed to using this more cool gray, which you can tell it doesn't have that much of a green tint to it. Alternatively, another thing you can do, and what I do myself, is choose all the fabric finishes first and then worry about what the uses will be for these fabrics, because I find when you're worried about what will go where and how will this be used, you're not really letting your creative process be as fluid as it could possibly be. And once the finishes are chosen, you can introduce other finishes such as your wallpaper if you're planning on using any. In this case, this one is absolutely gorgeous. It has this kind of shimmer look to it and a glittery look. But if you're going for paint, you can allow your fabrics to be the starting off point to your paint. And from there, you can choose the perfect paint color that you find coordinates with these fabrics. As you can see, I mean, this palette right here, it works beautifully with the color scheme I have going on with my finishes, but it really, I find, allows you to be a little bit more fluid once you have the finishes chosen first. To this, you can add wood finishes and find which one looks best with what you have created. I really like this gray one if I were to stay with this soft looking scheme. But if you want to amp it up a little bit, you can absolutely add a more wood tone to warm it up. You can even add this lighter one if you wanted to. It really just depends on the look you're going for, really. Then you can actually go ahead and introduce some shears into this scheme if you really wanted to. I love using shears because it offers privacy during the daylight. You may also introduce your carpet with this scheme through to the studs that you'll be using on your furniture. I hope you found these tips helpful for putting together your finishes and fabric scheme. One thing to note, if there's really anything you could take away from this video, is to choose all your fabrics and finishes first before you even bother with labeling them, because at the end of the day, this will yield a more fluid design process for you. Once your fabrics are chosen, you can go ahead and introduce other sections and other finishes into the scheme. Use your fabric scheme as your starting off point, because I find this is pretty much the easiest way you are able to convey the mood you're going for more accurately. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any video. Give this one a thumbs up and I'll see you on the next one. These tips help for to convey just because in the fabrics is patterns.